TheSadFan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made you sad from the previous week. But this week we're going to do something a little bit different. This week, what we're going to do is we're going to cover a very special Thanksgiving Day episode of TheSadFan, where we're going to dig into a little bit of the college football playoff, and we're going to talk about the Thanksgiving Day games in the NFL. So make sure you tune in today so you can get your picks, because we are actually, for the first time ever, going to pick every single NFL game for today, for Thanksgiving Day for you. Hopefully we can win you some money. Wherever you get your gambling advice, hopefully it's right on this day. I hope we're the ones that are right on this day, obviously. So let's start off in the college football world with the college football playoff rankings coming out this week. And obviously it's a made-for-TV product, and obviously it is absolutely flawed as it is run by man. But there is some things that just have to stand out to us right now, okay? First of all, Notre Dame, Miami. This has to stand out to us because they played each other. These two teams played each other, and Notre Dame lost. Notre Dame has 0 notable wins on their record, where, unfortunately for Miami, they have notable losses. But wait a second. Like I said earlier, Notre Dame and Miami played, and one of Notre Dame's losses is to Miami, and for some reason that counts against Miami. What sense does that make? Because Miami is ranked and the two teams Miami lost to are not ranked? That doesn't make any sense. You can't make them losing to the team they're competing with to get into the playoff count against the team that won. That doesn't make any sense. So the College Football Playoff Committee has to pull their heads collectively out of their asses and understand that they're talking out of both sides of their mouth simply because it is more beneficial to them to get Notre Dame into the playoff. Why? You get more eyeballs on the product. More people are familiar or will wander over to a Notre Dame playoff game than will wander over to a University of Miami playoff game. That does not make it right. That just makes it what they're doing. And they just need to come right out and say it. Just be honest. I know we live in a world where it's okay to be full of shit and just bullshit your way through life, but this we're all watching with our eyes. We all saw, we all know what happened. Miami went in and they won a game against Notre Dame. And we know that right now, the committee is trying to say that the losses Notre Dame has are better than the losses Miami has, except for Notre Dame lost to Miami. It doesn't make any sense. It's one of the stupidest things you could imagine. Now, let's talk about this weekend. As it pertains to these two teams, Miami has a chance to get another ranked win against Pitt. Now, years ago, that was Miami's kryptonite. Okay, when Mark Richt was there and that Miami team had a chance, they got blown out by Pitt. I hope this doesn't happen again because this Miami team is very good, and I'd much rather watch them play in the playoff than I'd watch Notre Dame, because I think that Miami has the better team. And it's been proven. Like, I'm kind of right, because Notre Dame lost to Miami. That being said, Notre Dame has another gimme game against Stanford, a very bad Stanford team with an interim head coach. So why are we letting Miami take the brunt of having the ACC schedule and playing the games that are on their schedule, and we're not treating Notre Dame the exact same way? Notre Dame's played cupcakes. They've got Navy on their schedule. They've got Stanford as their final game. Meanwhile, you've got Miami playing a ranked, whether they should be ranked or not, besides the point, they are ranked, Pitt team. Okay, and we're going to get into some teams that maybe shouldn't be ranked. Let's start in the SEC. The SEC features a slew of ranked teams that would probably have either a similar record or worse record had they been in any of the other major divisions, any of the other Power 5 conferences. Okay? Tennessee doesn't really have any business being ranked, as they lost every single test they had. The only game they put up a fight in was Georgia. All right? Alabama lost to Florida State. Okay? Alabama's quality win is against Georgia and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is another team. They'd probably be at the exact same place with 2 losses had they been in any other Power 5 conference, okay? So that includes the Big 12, who has a solid conference this year, a very tough conference. That includes pardon me, the ACC, who has a solid conference, okay? The Big Ten. They would, if we're being honest, probably have the exact same record. So we've got the two teams out of Tennessee that play each other this week, Vanderbilt and Tennessee, and we don't really know who they are because they lost all of their test games. They didn't beat anybody. So what business do they have competing with a team that actually beat somebody that is ranked in your top 10, Notre Dame? They don't have any business competing with a Miami. However, there's an SEC bias that's very apparent, okay? Especially as it pertains to Alabama. Let's get to Alabama, okay? We could drop the two teams that probably won't make the playoff in Vandy and Tennessee, but let's talk about Alabama, who plays Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Now, we've seen crazy things happen in the Iron Bowl, of course. Alabama lost to Florida State, who is nothing, and we're just going to let that go because it happened week one. I don't think we should. I think we should acknowledge that because Alabama then loses again to an Oklahoma team who, for some reason, is ranked way higher than they should be. I think the reason is they're in the SEC. Their quarterback is sorry. Their offense is sorry. Their defense is very good, but they're not top 10. Let me watch them in the playoff good. Their quality win is against Alabama. Give me a damn break. What are we doing here? Their quality win is against the team that lost to Florida State. Make it make sense. Okay, I know we've got to get teams into this playoff, but we also got to get the right teams into this playoff. Oklahoma is not a team people want to watch outside of Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to be a boring game. Do you want to watch a boring game? You don't. Oklahoma lost to Texas, who has been bad all year. So bad that they've been speaking about Steve Sarkisian parting ways with Texas in a mutual parting of ways. That means both sides saying, hey, you know what? This is not working out. We gave you great recruits. We gave you a great, we gave you a great NIL deal. We gave you a great quarterback lineage, and you didn't do anything with it. Now they've got a rivalry game this week that they need to win. And this game could truly help out Miami. It could help out a lot of teams because Texas A&M could lose to Texas. Texas A&M showed us they are fallible in their game against South Carolina. Now we're going to focus on the giant 28 comeback, but they also showed us, hey, Texas A&M, they might be susceptible to a silly game loss. Texas could be that silly game loss. Anything can happen in a rivalry game. Alabama, yeah, they could lose in the Iron Bowl. There's a lot of fans in Auburn that want to see them lose in the Iron Bowl. And are we still going to let them limp into the playoff? We shouldn't. We shouldn't. If they lose to Florida State and Auburn, both teams in down years, we shouldn't let them into the playoff. That shouldn't be a thing. Georgia's probably going to beat Georgia State. We've got to accept that. This is one of Georgia's worst teams in the Kirby Smart era. But they're probably going to win. Oregon, probably going to be University of Washington. So those teams we're not really going to worry about. But let's take a look at the big game. Michigan, Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't beat anybody all year. You can't count Texas. What has Ohio State done? Who have they played? Ohio State, Michigan is actually a big game. I think Ohio State's going to win. I don't want them to win, but I'm pretty certain they will. They should. But it's a huge test for them. They should have to blow out Michigan like you're asking Miami to blow out Pitt. Because Ohio State hasn't shown anything all year. You can make up bullshit and say they're undefeated, but they haven't beat anybody. Congratulations, Ohio State, on your undefeated record against losers. Good job. You beat a bunch of losers, and now I'm supposed to think you're this great team, but I don't. And finally, let's talk about a rivalry that probably is going to get more eyeballs than it's ever gotten, and that's the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State against Ole Miss. I doubt that this game has ever seen this many people, this many viewers tuning in to watch what's going to happen. Because Lane Kiffin is being courted by Florida, by LSU, by the NFL. He is the hottest coach on the market right now, and Ole Miss is pissed about it because he's going to leave Ole Miss, or could leave Ole Miss, in the midst of their best season ever. And the truth is, you knew this was going to happen. Ole Miss is not a stop that is coveted. Okay? It never has been, and it never will be. No one wants to stay in Ole Miss as a head coach. They want their pick of the litter, and that's what Lane Kiffin has. However, let him stay. even if he takes a different job, even if it's a conflict of interest, because this is your one shot. If you beat Mississippi State, which you very much should, and it very much should not be a close game, if you beat Mississippi State in this rivalry game, you have now locked up a playoff spot. There is no way possible for you to lose a playoff spot if you're Ole Miss, which means you are about 3 games, depending on your seed, away from a national championship. Don't you want that? Isn't that something to covet as opposed to your loser's lament, your scorned lover's lament that Lane Kiffin might leave you for what is a better job opportunity? Enough of this. If it's a better opportunity, stop hating on people for something you would do. You would also leave for a better job opportunity. So I don't fault him for it. I think go for it. I think more people should go for a better opportunity should it present itself. And that is exactly what Lane Kiffin is doing. Now, does he want to go to LSU where they gave Brian Kelly a very hard time about paying his buyout? Or does he want to go to Florida, who has been irrelevant for the last whatever years since Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow left? Probably not, right? But I think LSU has the better recruits. Those are the 2 really big jobs that are open right now. And that begs the question, does Ole Miss do the thing where they just stay? Just stay. Just concede this game against Lane Kiffin and stay where you're at. Let him coach your team to what could be your first ever national championship. I don't foresee that happening, but hell, it's there. It's winnable. It's random. College football is random. Why not take a chance on Lane, let him play out this season, coach out this season, and try to bring you a national championship? Let's talk about the Turkey Day games in the NFL. All right, of course, we have the traditional game in the Detroit Lions against the Green Bay Packers, but this game for another year means something. This game matters because both of these teams have 7 wins right now. And if Detroit wins this game, they can now jump over Green Bay in a very tough division and make it matter less what happens tonight, a little less, not completely less, between the Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Detroit is already getting 3 points. Are they going to win by 3 points? I don't think so. It's in Detroit, though. It's in a dome. There's a lot of things. Jahmyr Gibbs is crushing it. Amon-Ra needs to go out there and do something, okay? There is something here that needs to be proven. They gave him a huge contract. He's had a rough season. Jared Goff got a huge contract. He's had a rough season. So we're sitting here looking at this and saying, hey, St. Brown, show us something. We gave you this massive contract. Hey, Jared Goff, go out there and win us this game. Go out there and earn that contract. And those are things that should be said. I think Detroit wins this, but I don't think they win by 3 points. So I take Detroit for the win, but Green Bay for the cover here. Green Bay, this is a very close game. This is a rivalry game. This is a game that matters. This is a game for the top of the division, barring whatever happens in the Chicago Bears game. So I think Detroit wins, but Green Bay covers, and this is a very tight game. That is your first game of the evening. Next game, Chiefs, Cowboys, fighting to matter, fighting for relevance in 2025. It's weird, right? Well, Dallas Cowboys, they never matter. They always find a way to lose. But that star in their helmet, that means something still. Who knows why? They've sucked for a very long time. Dak Prescott is very much overrated due to that star on his helmet. But the Kansas City Chiefs have the best quarterback we've ever seen, maybe. Say Tom Brady. I don't think he's the best quarterback ever. I've had this argument with my co-host, Wesley. But I think that, well, Tom Brady's the greatest winner. Let me cover myself there. I just don't think he's the greatest quarterback. I think that Kansas City is out for blood. I think that Kansas City needs to go. And after Dallas just beat Philly, Dallas put up a show against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the Super Bowl champions, and that gives the stage to Kansas City to go into Dallas, okay, and show the world that they're still a team to be reckoned with, that they're still a team that's going to make us watch, make us be scared, make us shake in our boots every time we see them. And they're favored by 3 points going into AT&T, going into Dallas. But guess what? They're going to win by more than 3 points. They are. Dallas is coming off a high, okay? They're coming off a high, and it's a Thanksgiving Day game in Dallas. They're going to be so hyped up, but the Chiefs are going to be robotic. They're going to be controlled. They're going to go in there and do absolutely everything they need to do to win, and they're going to put on a show. They're going to beat up on that weak secondary in Dallas. They're going to allow Patrick Mahomes to be playoff Patrick and go absolutely nuts. Travis Kelce loves to show up on a big stage, loves it. Just look at his playoff stats. He loves the big stage. Guess what? He's the only one on the stage in this Thanksgiving Day game. And I really believe that this Chiefs team is out to show the people that we are still a team to be feared. I think Spags needs to have that defense ready to go. You already know Dallas is just trying to throw all over you. That's what they do. That's what they have right now. They have a lot of talented wide receivers. So if you know that, pin the ears back and go after Dak. Kansas City covers the spread. Kansas City wins the game. Again, that spread is at -3, KC. Finally, the last game of Thanksgiving Day, not the Thanksgiving Day weekend games, because we do have a game, Thanksgiving week games, pardon me. We do have a game on Friday night that I was alluding to with the Chicago Bears and the Philadelphia Eagles, but we have a toilet game. We have the Cincinnati Bengals against the Baltimore Ravens. We don't need to talk too much about this, except for it is the return of Joe Burrow, which everybody is very excited about. Joe Burrow should be coming back and playing. Joe Burrow says if he's healthy, he will play. So we're very excited about that. However, the line is still -7 to Baltimore. So I'm going to give you a double prediction here. If Joe Burrow doesn't play, Baltimore wins and covers. If Joe Burrow plays, Baltimore wins, but Cincinnati covers that 7-point spread. Okay? So keep your eye on the ticker. If you see Joe Flacco is playing, Joe Burrow out, take the Ravens to cover that 7-point spread. I think the Ravens put it on Cincinnati. However, I think there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of vibes going through Cincinnati if Joe Burrow returns, even though that they are out of the playoffs. I think that energy playing against a rival like Baltimore is going to bring out the best in Cincinnati. They will still lose, but they will cover that 7-point spread. And finally, on to our last game, the Friday night game, the Chicago Bears against the Philadelphia Eagles. And this is an interesting game. However, it's not interesting enough for me to take the Chicago Bears. I still don't trust them. Ben Johnson has done a great job with Caleb Williams. However, this is a team that is fallible. This is a team that we haven't had a reason to trust yet. They've been fun to watch, but they haven't really given us a reason to look at Chicago and go, that's the team for us. That is the team that can overcome adversity, that can overcome a champion coming off of a loss. I just don't see that with Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and the Chicago Bears. However, the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be angry. The Philadelphia Eagles have disgruntled players. The Philadelphia Eagles have infighting on that offense. The Philadelphia Eagles have not shown us an explosive offense despite having many explosive players in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Then you've got Saquon Barkley in the backfield. That team is loaded for bear. Hayden Hurst at tight end. I don't think that they are going to cover a 7-point spread, though. I just don't see that happening. So Chicago is good enough to cover that 7-point spread, but just not good enough to overcome a champion coming off of a loss to a rival. So take Philly to get the win. However, Chicago, they're going to cover that 7 points. Chicago is going to put up a fight. Chicago's youth is going to try to show, hey, we belong here. Hey, Philly, we're coming. We want all of your stuff. We know you're the big dog on the block, but we're on our way up. We are growing into this role. The Chicago Bears are going to cover that 7-point spread. Philadelphia Eagles are going to go ahead and win the game, and that will be it, and that will take us into our college football weekend. You already heard me review that. We are so excited for this Thanksgiving Day slate of games. We are excited for Rivalry Week, and we are excited that you joined us again this week. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Back to the block, I'm scamming. Back in the shop, I'm scamming. Get it off a dummy, I'm scamming. Always get money, I'm scamming.